Myths and fairy tales are what happens when something major happens and all we can do is speculate about the cause. For instance, if a man goes missing at shorefront, he most likely drowned and the tide pulled his body away. But there are all these animals, and sometimes the mind fancies a better story than reality likes to give, which is why today I have prepared a glorious PowerPoint presentation. The seal fairies are a specific category of fairies I discovered when reading some old fairy tales, and today I'm going to talk about them for a minute. The truth is that some of the seals you find off the coast around here are not ordinary animals, but rowan, a noble shape-shifting race related to the fairies. Sadly, the only way to recognize one is to kill a seal, then watch its carcass. A normal seal just lies there, stone dead, but with a rowan, the fur stays vibrant long after the last breath has been knocked from it, bristling up like a pig, then falling back, sleek as a cat, ebbing and flowing until day turns into night and back again with the passage of 24 hours. Not that everyone believes this, of course. Those least likely are the hunters who kill seals for a living. That's a quote from Celtic Fairy Tales and Legends by Rosalind Curvin, a lovely book I found at an actual bookstore that contains a retelling of many fairy tales within it. It's also where I discovered these particular creatures and 90% of my research because of how few internet sources there are for Celtic stories. The rowan is a Scottish Gaelic name, and then a second name for the creatures is the Selkies, which is used in the northern Scottish islands where tradition leans more Nordic. They are slightly different in how their retellings appear, but they can also be used interchangeably in a lot of cases. I would equate them to Dungeons and Dragons. You have a wyvern and you have a dragon. Technically, you can argue that they are functionally the same creature as big scary monster with wings and scales, but individually, you can start picking out a bunch of small changes until you decide that you have two names for two different enough things. The rowan half of this mythos is described as the gentlest of all the fairy people. In the fairy tale, The Secret World of the Seals, once again from that book, a seal hunter is described being tricked into the water by a rowan that has shape-shifted into a human form, who pushes him off, who transforms him into a seal and brings him amongst the rowan temporarily. While he is amongst the rowan, he is forced into service, acting as a healer for some of the rowan he injured in his seal hunting days. At the end, because he has healed them, he is forgiven by the collective, and he is allowed to return to the land and set off on his merry way. This creates the gentlest mythical race I have read about in any particular story, because almost all of them would happily kill you if you killed even one or a few of them. And fittingly, it does make sense for the seals. I mean, just look at that guy. Then you have the Selkies. These are a slightly different one. These are the Nordic version. Right here we have an illustration I ripped off the internet, which conveniently cited the illustrator. I often am not able to find out who makes art pieces when I pull them from the internet. They are slightly different in that they carry removable seal skin and are not natural shapeshifters, along with a few other matters that are in the next few slides. In one particular story, a farmer comes across the Selkie, watching them from a hidden spot as they come onto land because they need to take human form temporary for some Selkie ritual. While he is watching, they take off the skin, which is necessary to turn back into a seal. The farmer goes and steals one from a female Selkie. After he steals it, he uses that as leverage to marry the Selkie girl and have, I want to say, 2 or 3 children. He keeps the skin within a chest in his house, and after a while the Selkie manages to steal it, get away. The farmer ends up killing a few rowan, and then comeuppance come to him because the Selkie within the Nordic tradition are able to conjure storms. And this will also apply to seal hunters and ship captains that negligently lead to the deaths of many seals. Selkie men are said to seduce women and then vanish after such unions. This can lead to children with webbed fingers, which is a real phenomenon that if you Google, you will get many disgusting photos. This is about the best I could find for the purposes of this. And I'd be remiss not to mention that there is also the possibility that there is a connection between the Selkie rowan and mermaid stories, because you have a very similar arrangement of a animal person, though the Selkie are associated with the webbed fingers, while the seals right here you have the tail design that matches the mermaid tail design. That's all I got. I just think the seals are a pretty neat little fantasy race. I hope to see you next time where I'll discuss something new.